The main reasons states impose visa restrictions on foreign nationals are to curb illegal immigration, security concerns, and reciprocity for visa restrictions imposed on their own nationals. Typically, nations impose visa restrictions on citizens of poorer countries, along with politically unstable and undemocratic ones, as it is considered more likely that people from these countries will seek to illegally immigrate. Visa restrictions may also be imposed when nationals of another country are perceived as likelier to be terrorists or criminals, or by autocratic regimes that perceive foreign influence to be a threat to their rule. According to Professor Eric Neumayer of the London School of Economics, the poorer, the less democratic, and the more exposed to armed political conflict the target country is, the more likely that visa restrictions are in place against its passport holders. The same is true for countries whose nationals have been major perpetrators of terrorist acts in the past. Some countries apply the principle of reciprocity in their visa policy. A country's visa policy is called reciprocal if it imposes visa requirement against citizens of all the countries that impose visa requirements against its own citizens. The opposite is rarely true. A country rarely lifts visa requirements against citizens of all the countries that also lift visa requirements against its own citizens, unless a prior bilateral agreement has been made. A fee may be charged for issuing a visa. These are often also reciprocal. Hence, if country A charges country B's citizens $50 for a visa, country B will often also charge the same amount for country A's visitors. The fee charged may also be at the discretion of each embassy. A similar reciprocity often applies to the duration of the visa, the period in which one is permitted to request entry of the country, and the number of entries one can attempt with the visa. Other restrictions, such as requiring fingerprints and photographs, may also be reciprocated. Expedited processing of the visa application for some countries will generally incur additional charges. Government authorities usually impose administrative entry restrictions on foreign citizens in three ways: countries whose nationals may enter without a visa, countries whose nationals may obtain a visa on arrival, and countries whose nationals require a visa in advance. Nationals who require a visa in advance are usually advised to obtain them at a diplomatic mission of their destination country. Several countries allow nationals of countries that require a visa to obtain them online. The following table lists visa policies of all countries by the number of foreign nationalities that may enter that country for tourism without a visa or by obtaining a visa on arrival with normal passport. It also notes countries that issue electronic visas to certain nationalities. Symbol plus indicates a country that limits the visa-free regime negatively by only listing nationals who require a visa. Thus the number represents the number of UN member states reduced by the number of nationals who require a visa, and plus stands for all possible non-member state nationals that might also not require a visa. And /A indicates countries that have contradictory information on its official websites or information supplied by the government to IATA. Some countries that allow visa on arrival do so only at a limited number of entry points. Some countries such as the European Union member states have a qualitatively different visa regime between each other, as it also includes freedom of movement. Possession of a valid visa is a condition for entry into many countries, and exemption schemes exist. In some cases visa-free entry may be granted to holders of diplomatic passports even as visas are required by normal passport holders. See passport. Some countries have reciprocal agreements such that a visa is not needed under certain conditions, example when the visit is for tourism and for a relatively short period. Such reciprocal agreements may stem from common membership in international organizations or a shared heritage. All citizens of European Union, EU, and EFTA member countries can travel to and stay in all other EU and EFTA countries without a visa. See for freedoms, European Union, and citizenship of the European Union. British and Irish citizens are entitled the right to travel to and stay in each other's countries without visas or restrictions under the Common Travel Area. Citizens of countries in the Common Travel Area, CTA, do not need visas to travel to and stay in other countries in the CTA. The United States Visa Waiver Program allows citizens of 41 countries to travel to the United States without a visa, although a pre-trip entry permission, ESTA, is needed. Citizens of Canada and the United States do not require a visa to travel between the two countries. Historically, verbal declaration of citizenship, or, if requested by an officer, the presentation of one of over 8,000 different types of documents indicating U.S. or Canadian citizenship was sufficient in order to cross the border. Since the Western Hemisphere Travel Initiative came into effect in 2009, a passport, border crossing card, or enhanced driver's license is now required in order to enter the U.S. from Canada by land, or a passport by air. Any Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, citizen can enter and stay as long as required in any other GCC member state. All citizens of members of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, excluding those defined by law as undesirable aliens, may enter and stay without a visa in any member state for a maximum period of 90 days. The only requirement is a valid travel document and international vaccination certificates. Nationals of the East African Community member states do not need visas for entry into any of the member states. Some countries in the Commonwealth do not require tourist visas of citizens of other Commonwealth countries. Citizens of member states of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations do not require tourist visas to visit another member state, with the exception of Malaysia and Myanmar. Both countries require citizens of the other country to have an e-visa to visit. Until 2009, Burmese citizens were required to have visas to enter all other ASEAN countries. Following the implementation of visa exemption agreements with the other ASEAN countries, in 2016 Burmese citizens are only required to have visas to enter Malaysia. Commonwealth of Independent States, CIS, member states mutually allow their citizens to enter visa-free, at least for short stays. There are exceptions between Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, and between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Nepal and India allow their citizens to enter, live, and work in each other's countries due to the Indo-Nepal Friendship Treaty of 1951. Indians do not require a visa or passport to travel to Bhutan and are only required to obtain passes at the border checkpoints, whilst Bhutan nationals holding a valid Bhutanese passport are authorized to enter India without a visa. Citizens of Mercosur full member and associate countries can enter without a visa in any of the member and associate countries, just needing to present the ID card. Other countries may unilaterally grant visa-free entry to nationals of certain countries to facilitate tourism, promote business, or even to cut expenses on maintaining consular posts abroad. Some of the considerations for a country to grant visa-free entry to another country include, but are not limited to, being a low security risk for the country potentially granting visa-free entry. Diplomatic relationship between two countries. Conditions in the visitor's home country as compared to the host country. Having a low risk of overstaying or violating visa terms in the country potentially granting visa-free entry. To have a smaller worldwide diplomatic staff, some countries rely on other countries, or countries, judgments when issuing visas. For example, Mexico allows citizens of all countries to enter without Mexican visas if they possess a valid American visa that has already been used. Costa Rica accepts valid visas of Schengen/EU countries, Canada, Japan, South Korea, and the United States, if valid for at least 3 months on date of arrival. The ultimate example of such reliance is the microstate of Andorra, which imposes no visa requirements of its own because it has no international airport and is inaccessible by land without passing through the territory of either France or Spain and is thus protected by the Schengen visa system. Visa-free travel between countries also occurs in all cases where passports, or passport-replacing documents such as laissez-passer, are not needed for such travel. For examples of passport-free travel, see international travel without passports. As of 2019, the Henley and Partners Passport Index ranks the Japanese, Singaporean, and South Korean passports as the ones with the most visa exemptions by other nations, allowing holders of those passports to visit 189 countries without obtaining a visa in advance of arrival. However, as of June 6, 2019, the Passport Index ranks the United Arab Emirates passport as the one with the most visa exemptions by other nations, allowing holders of this passport to visit 173 countries without obtaining a visa in advance of arrival. Normally, visas are valid for entry only into the country that issued the visa. Countries that are members of regional organizations or party to regional agreements may, however, issue visas valid for entry into some or all of the member states of the organization or agreement. The Schengen visa is a visa for the Schengen area, which consists of most of the European Economic Area, plus several other adjacent countries. The visa allows visitors to stay in the Schengen area for up to 90 days within a 180-day period. The visa is valid for tourism, family visits, and business. The Central American Single Visa, Visa Única Centroamericana, is a visa for Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Nicaragua. It was implemented by the CA4 agreement. It allows citizens of those four countries free access to other member countries. It also allows visitors to any member country to enter another member country without having to obtain another visa. Potentially, there are new common visa schemes. An ASEAN common visa scheme has been considered with Thailand and the CLMV countries of Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam opting in earlier. After talk arose of a CLMV common visa, with Thailand being omitted, Thailand initiated and began implementation of a trial common visa with Cambodia, but cited security risks as the major hurdle. The trial run was delayed, but Thailand implemented a single visa scheme with Cambodia beginning on December 27, 2012 on a trial basis. A Gulf Cooperation Council single visa has been recommended as a study submitted to the Council. The Pacific Alliance, which currently consists of Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and Peru, offer a common visa for tourism purposes only in order to make it easier for nationals from countries outside of the alliance to travel through these countries by not having to apply for multiple visas. An East African single tourist visa is under consideration by the relevant sectoral authorities under the East African Community, EAC, integration program. If approved, the visa will be valid for all 5 partner states in the EAC, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. Under the proposal for the visa, any new East African single visa can be issued by any partner state's embassy. The visa proposal followed an appeal by the tourist boards of the partner states for a common visa to accelerate promotion of the region as a single tourist destination, and the EAC Secretariat wants it approved before November's World Travel Fair, or World Travel Market, in London. When approved by the East African Council of Ministers, tourists could apply for one country's entry visa, which would then be applicable in all regional member states as a single entry requirement initiative. This is considered also by CUMSA. The SADC Univisa, or Univisa, has been in development since Southern African Development Community, SADC, members signed a protocol on the development of tourism in 1998. The protocol outlined the Univisa as an objective so as to enable the international and regional entry and travel of visitors to occur as smoothly as possible. It was expected to become operational by the end of 2002. Its introduction was delayed and a new implementation date, the end of 2006, was announced. The Univisa was originally intended to only be available, initially, to visitors from selected source markets including Australia, the Benelux countries, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Portugal, Spain, the United Kingdom, and the United States. It is now expected that when the Univisa is implemented, it will apply to non-SADC international, long-haul, tourists traveling to and within the region, and that it will encourage multi-destination travel within the region. It is also anticipated that the Univisa will enlarge tourist market for trans-frontier parks by lowering the boundaries between neighboring countries in the parks. The visa is expected to be valid for all the countries with trans-frontier parks: Botswana, Lesotho, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, and Zimbabwe, and some other SADC countries, Angola and Swaziland. As of 2017, Universal visa is implemented by Zambia and Zimbabwe. Nationals of 65 countries and territories are eligible for visa on arrival that is valid for both countries. This visa is branded Kaza Univisa Program after Kavango, Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area, Kaza. It is expected that other SADC countries will join the program in the future. Exit visas may be required to leave some countries. Many countries limit the ability of individuals to leave in certain circumstances, such as those with outstanding legal proceedings or large government debts. Despite this, the term exit visa is generally limited to countries that systematically restrict departure, where the right to leave is not automatic. Imposing a systematic requirement for exit permission may be seen to violate the right to freedom of movement, which is found in the UDHR and forms part of customary international law. Countries implementing exit visas vary in who they require to obtain one. Some countries permit the free movement of foreign nationals while restricting their own citizens. Others may limit the exit visa requirement to resident foreigners in the country on work visas, such as in the kafala system. Iraq, Kuwait, Lebanon, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates all have an exit visa requirement for alien foreign workers. This is part of their kafala work visa sponsorship system. Consequently, at the end of a foreign worker's employment period, the worker must secure clearance from their employer stating that the worker has satisfactorily fulfilled the terms of their employment contract or that the worker's services are no longer needed. The exit visa can also be withheld if there are pending court charges that need to be settled or penalties that have to be meted out. In September 2018, Qatar lifted the exit visa requirement for most workers. Persons are generally free to leave Israel, except for those who are subject to a stay of exit order. Nepal requires its citizens emigrating to the United States on an H-1B visa to present an exit permit issued by the Nepali Ministry of Labor. This document is called a work permit and needs to be presented to Nepali immigration to leave Nepal. Uzbekistan was the last remaining country of the former USSR that required an exit visa, which was valid for a 2-year period. The practice was abolished in 2019. There had been an explicit United Nations complaint about this practice. North Korea requires that its citizens obtain an exit visa stating the traveler's destination country and time to be spent abroad before leaving the country. Additionally, North Korean authorities also require North Korean citizens to obtain a re-entry visa from a North Korean embassy or North Korean mission abroad before being allowed back into North Korea. The government of the People's Republic of China requires its citizens to obtain a 2-way permit, visiting, or 1-way permit, emigrating, issued by the People's Republic of China's authorities, prior to visiting Hong Kong or Macau. The 2-way permit and 1-way permit are a de facto exit visa for Hong Kong or Macau-bound trips for citizens of the People's Republic of China. During the fascist period in Italy, an exit visa was required from 1922 to 1943. Nazi Germany required exit visas from 1933 to 1945. The Soviet Union and its Warsaw Pact allies required exit visas both for emigration and for those who wanted to leave the Soviet Union for a shorter period. Some countries, including the Czech Republic, require that an alien who needs a visa on entry be in possession of a valid visa upon exit. To satisfy this formal requirement, exit visas sometimes need to be issued. Russia requires an exit visa if a visitor stays past the expiration date of their visa. They must then extend their visa or apply for an exit visa and are not allowed to leave the country until they show a valid visa or have a permissible excuse for overstaying their visa, example a note from a doctor or a hospital explaining an illness, missed flight, lost or stolen visa. In some cases, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs can issue a return home certificate that is valid for 10 days from the embassy of the visitor's native country, thus eliminating the need for an exit visa. A foreign citizen granted a temporary residence permit in Russia needs a temporary resident visa to take a trip abroad, valid for both exit and return. It is also colloquially called an exit visa. Not all foreign citizens are subject to that requirement. Citizens of Germany, for example, do not require this exit visa. In March 2021, During the COVID-19 pandemic, the United Kingdom required everyone leaving England to fill out an exit form detailing their address, passport number, destination, and reason to travel. Permitted reasons to travel included for work or volunteering, education, medical or compassionate reasons such as weddings and funerals. Travelers may be required to carry evidence to support their reason to travel. Cuba dropped its exit visa requirement in January 2013. Guatemala requires any foreigner who is a permanent resident to apply for a multiple 5-year exit visa. The United States of America does not require exit visas. Since October 1, 2007, however, the U.S. government requires all foreign and U.S. nationals departing the United States by air to hold a valid passport, or certain specific passport replacing documents. Even though travelers might not require a passport to enter a certain country, they will require a valid passport booklet only, U.S. passport card not accepted, to depart the United States in order to satisfy the U.S. immigration authorities. In addition, green card holders and certain other aliens must obtain a certificate of compliance, also known as a sailing permit or departure permit, from the Internal Revenue Service proving that they are up to date with their U.S. income tax obligations before they may leave the country. While the requirement has been in effect since 1921, it has not been stringently enforced, but in 2014 the House Ways and Means Committee has considered beginning to enforce the requirement as a way to increase tax revenues. Australia, citing COVID-19 concerns, in 2020 banned outward travel by both Australian citizens and permanent residents, unless they requested and were granted an exemption. In August 2021 this ban was extended to people who are ordinarily resident in countries other than Australia as well. Exceptions apply to business travel and travel for compelling reasons for 3 months or longer, among others. On November 1, 2021, after 20 months, the exit permit system was scrapped and New South Wales and Victoria officially reopened their borders in addition to ending quarantine requirements on arrival for fully vaccinated individuals. However, on November 27, 2021, 72-hour quarantine requirements were reinstated over concerns about the SARS-CoV-2 Omicron variant. The Henley Passport Index ranks passports according to the number of destinations that can be reached using a particular country's ordinary passport without the need of a prior visa, visa-free. The survey ranks 199 passports against 227 destination countries, territories, and microstates. The IATA maintains a database of travel information worldwide, and all destinations that are in the IATA database are considered by the index. However, because not all territories issue passports, there are far fewer passports ranked than destinations about which queries are made. As of December 8, 2023, the Singaporean passport offers holders visa-free or visa on arrival access to a total of 195 countries and territories, followed by the Japanese with 193 and the Finnish, French, German, Italian, South Korean, Spanish, and Swedish passports, each offering 190 visa-free or visa on arrival countries and territories to its holders. These rankings were subsequently followed by the Austrian, Danish, Irish, Luxembourgeois, and British passports, each offering visa-free or visa on arrival travel to 189 countries and territories. An Afghan passport has once again been labeled by the index as the least powerful passport in the world, with its nationals only able to visit 27 destinations visa-free. This was followed by the Iraqi passport at 29 destinations and the Syrian passport at 30 destinations. The World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, of the United Nations has issued various visa openness reports. Many countries require a minimum number of blank pages to be available in the passport being presented, typically 1 or 2 pages. Endorsement pages, which often appear after the visa pages, are not counted as being valid or available. Some other countries require vaccination only if the passenger is coming from an infected area or has visited one recently or has transited for 12 hours in those countries: Algeria, Botswana, Cabo Verde, Chad, Djibouti, Egypt, Eswatini, Ethiopia, Gambia, Ghana, Guinea, Lesotho, Libya, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Madagascar, Malawi, Mauritania, Mauritius, Mozambique, Namibia, Nigeria, Papua New Guinea, Seychelles, Somalia, South Africa, Sudan, Tunisia, Uganda, United Republic of Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. Very few countries, such as Paraguay, just require a valid passport on arrival. However, many countries and groupings now require only an identity card, especially from their neighbors. Other countries may have special bilateral arrangements that depart from the generality of their passport validity length policies to shorten the period of passport validity required for each other's citizens, or even accept passports that have already expired, but not been cancelled. Some countries, such as Japan, Ireland, and the United Kingdom, require a passport valid throughout the period of the intended stay. In the absence of specific bilateral agreements, countries requiring passports to be valid for at least 6 more months on arrival include Afghanistan, Algeria, Anguilla, Bahrain, Bhutan, Botswana, British Virgin Islands, Brunei, Cambodia, Cameroon, Cape Verde, Cayman Islands, Central African Republic, Chad, Comoros, Costa Rica, Côte d'Ivoire, Curaçao, Ecuador, Egypt, El Salvador, Equatorial Guinea, Fiji, Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Guyana, Haiti, India, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, Israel, Jordan, Kenya, Kiribati, Kuwait, Laos, Madagascar, Malaysia, Marshall Islands, Mongolia, Myanmar, Namibia, Nepal, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Oman, Palau, Papua New Guinea, Peru, Philippines, Qatar, Rwanda, Samoa, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Solomon Islands, Somalia, Sri Lanka, Sudan, Suriname, Tanzania, Thailand, Timor-Leste, Tokelau, Tonga, Turkey, Tuvalu, Uganda, United Arab Emirates, Vanuatu, Venezuela, and Vietnam. Countries requiring passports valid for at least 4 months on arrival include Micronesia and Zambia. Countries requiring passports with a validity of at least 3 months beyond the date of intended departure include Azerbaijan, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Honduras, Montenegro, Nauru, Moldova and New Zealand. Similarly, the EEA countries of Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, all European Union countries, except Ireland, together with Switzerland also require 3 months validity beyond the date of the bearer's intended departure unless the bearer is an EEA or Swiss national. Countries requiring passports valid for at least 3 months on arrival include Albania, North Macedonia, Panama, and Senegal. Bermuda requires passports to be valid for at least 45 days upon entry. Countries that require a passport validity of at least 1 month beyond the date of intended departure include Eritrea, Hong Kong, Lebanon, Macau, the Maldives, and South Africa. Some countries, including Australia, Canada, Fiji, New Zealand, and the United States, routinely deny entry to non-citizens who have a criminal record, while others impose restrictions depending on the type of conviction and the length of the sentence. The government of a country can declare a diplomat persona non grata, banning entry into that country. In non-diplomatic use, the authorities of a country may also declare a foreigner persona non grata permanently or temporarily, usually because of unlawful activity. Kuwait, Lebanon, Libya, Syria, and Yemen do not allow entry to people with passport stamps from Israel or whose passports have either a used or an unused Israeli visa, or where there is evidence of previous travel to Israel, such as entry or exit stamps from neighboring border posts in transit countries such as Jordan and Egypt. To circumvent this Arab League boycott of Israel, the Israeli immigration services have now mostly ceased to stamp foreign nationals' passports on either entry to or exit from Israel, unless the entry is for some work-related purposes. Since January 15, 2013, Israel no longer stamps foreign passports at Ben Gurion Airport. Passports are still, as of June 22, 2017, stamped at Erez when passing into and out of Gaza. Iran refuses admission to holders of passports containing an Israeli visa or stamp that is less than 12 months old. Several countries mandate that all travelers, or all foreign travelers, be fingerprinted on arrival and will refuse admission to or even arrest travelers who refuse to comply. In some countries, such as the United States, this may apply even to transit passengers who merely wish to change planes rather than go landside. Fingerprinting countries/regions include Afghanistan, Argentina, Brunei, Cambodia, China, Ethiopia, Ghana, Guinea, India, Japan, Kenya. Both fingerprints and a photo are taken, Malaysia upon entry and departure, Mongolia, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, Uganda, the United Arab Emirates and the United States. Many countries also require a photo be taken of people entering the country. The United States, which does not fully implement exit control formalities at its land frontiers, although long mandated by domestic legislation, intends to implement facial recognition for passengers departing from international airports to identify people who overstay their visa. Together with fingerprint and face recognition, iris scanning is one of 3 biometric identification technologies internationally standardized since 2006 by the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, for use in e-passports, and the United Arab Emirates conducts iris scanning on visitors who need to apply for a visa. The United States Department of Homeland Security has announced plans to greatly increase the biometric data it collects at U.S. borders. In 2018, Singapore began trials of iris scanning at 3 land and maritime immigration checkpoints. Thank you for watching this part of the video.